US President Joe Biden says he's considering a request from Australia to drop the prosecution of WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. Last month, a British court ruled the Australian, who's being held in a London prison, can't be extradited to the US on espionage charges unless American authorities guarantee he won't get the death penalty.
In February, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese backed a motion in Parliament's lower house calling for the return of the 52-year-old to Australia. Let's go to our North America correspondent Barbara Miller. She joins us now from Virginia. Very good morning to you, Barbara. Well, Joe Biden's comments, very interesting, but what was the context of these comments? Quite a brief comment from the US president overnight.
Indeed, and apparently kind of out of context. We have the Prime Minister, Fumio Kishida, visiting the US at the moment. He was walking in the White House grounds with the Japanese leader, and a question was thrown to him about what he thought of Australia's request to bring the prosecution of Julian Assange to an end. At first he said he couldn't hear, and then he mumbled in quite poor audio, "We're considering this." Now, that's the strongest indication at that level we've had that the US is really perhaps paling on this idea of extraditing Julian Assange over the publication of classified material. There were reports some time ago that perhaps a plea deal was in the works, that it was being considered. And as you mentioned, of course, the Australian Parliament formally calling for the matter to be brought to a close and for Julian Assange to be allowed to return home. We contacted Julian Assange's lawyer, who said that it was encouraging. The lawyer then reiterating that in the lawyer's view, Julian Assange shouldn't be locked up in that UK prison, trying to appeal his possible extradition to the US. And then here in Virginia, we also caught up with Pat Conroy, the Australian Defence Industry Minister, and asked him for a reaction to President Biden's comments.
The Australian government, from Prime Minister Albanese down, have been very clear that we think the Assange matter needs to be brought to a close. We think it's been going on for too long, and we've communicated that to both the United States and UK government. So I welcome President Biden's comment.
Did they surprise you? Did they come out of the blue?
I think there's been no surprise that there's been a lot of conversations at senior levels from the Australian government, so I do welcome them.
Pat Conroy speaking there with you, Barbara. And as you say, Minister Conroy is in the US as further initiatives are announced around the AUKUS Defence Pact. What sort of meetings has he been holding in the US at the moment?
Well, we're here in Newport News, Virginia, where the major shipbuilder HII builds behind the USS Enterprise, which you can see behind me. That's their shipyards where Virginia-class submarines are built. And Pat Conroy was welcoming a deal that HII has just announced with Bisalloy Steel in Port Kembla for an initial order of processed steel. The minister and the company here saying that they hope this is the first of many such deals, and in fact saying that they hope perhaps a deal like this can help alleviate significant supply chain problems in the US military shipbuilding industry, which have really raised questions about the viability of AUKUS. At the same time as he was here announcing that deal, we also heard from President Biden about a possible trilateral cooperation with Australia and Japan. I'll just read you the official words in that. We announce our vision to cooperate on a networked air defence architecture among the United States, Japan and Australia. So definitely questions for the Prime Minister there as to what exactly that might mean. We're still seeking further clarification on that. But this comes just a couple of days after the AUKUS partners, Australia, US, UK, announced that they would consider cooperation with Japan in Pillar 2 of the AUKUS Defence Pact, and a clear signal that the US, at least, certainly sees Japan as an increasingly important ally against Chinese aggression in the Indo-Pacific region.